I feel like my husband, 26M, puts things off until I, 26F, end up handling things myself plus 3-year update. All to count because my husband is on Reddit. My husband and I have had a rocky relationship. It's been 3 years since we've been married, and I always hoped it would get a bit easier. I feel like we've tried a lot of different things to improve our relationship, but I often find myself feeling defeated and sad because it seems like nothing will ever change. Right now we're in the process of moving. I stayed behind to finish things up at our house, and he's gone ahead to start working. We're literally starting from scratch. I sold everything, including our cars. We have to have a car, so I asked him to buy a car and have it ready for us once I'm ready to move. He's met me with so many excuses, and I'm just tired. I'm finally flying to meet him next week, and there's still no car. It's been a month. He mentioned to me offhand the other day that he was planning on buying a car once I fly in. But doesn't that defeat the purpose? All I asked was that he had one ready for when I arrived. I really don't want to go car shopping the second I get off the plane. I was excited and hopeful about the move. We talked about how things were going to change, and he seemed so motivated, but now I feel defeated again. I don't even feel angry anymore. What was I expecting? I'm not sure what advice I'm looking for. We get along pretty well when there aren't any big life decisions involved. He's a nice guy, I just don't trust him to take any responsibility in the relationship. I guess, has anyone been in a similar relationship? How did it go? When was it finally enough for you? Is there anything that can change? I'm really interested in starting couples therapy, but I'm afraid of putting effort into something that might not even work. Additional information from OOP after seeing common questions. OOP, hi, thanks for commenting. Everyone has been really helpful so far. There was a time that my husband wouldn't help out with chores or bills. I was cooking, cleaning, and working full-time while he got to play games. I do think he's gotten better, but there are a lot of times that I still feel like I do more. I'm trying to be patient. I know people don't change overnight. It's just hard. I think I still have some hurt feelings from this time. Looking at it now, I think I thought if I asked him to do something more important, maybe he'd take it more seriously and be excited to contribute. I realize that it's a big decision, but I've always been willing to talk about the financials and other details about the purchase. I think I would have really appreciated seeing his effort in taking over this decision. I've talked to him since posting this, and we've gone over some more details about the purchase, and he's actually made an appointment to start looking for cars. I'm still not 100% if it's purely an anxiety thing or if he is just coasting along with me, but I'm planning on organizing my thoughts and talking openly about how this has made me feel once we're together. Thanks again, I've been thinking a lot about the situation. I appreciate it. Top comments. Commenter 1, it's called weaponized incompetence. Look it up. And either he learns to step up, or you can dump his shitty ass. Commenter 2, we get along pretty well when there aren't any big life decisions involved. He's a nice guy, I just don't trust him to take any responsibility in the relationship. Exactly why he only needs to be your friend in life. He does not have what it takes to be in a relationship with you because you need more in a partner. Commenter 3, regardless of the specific issue, it all really boils down to what you want for yourself and your marriage. Couples counseling is basically like any other form of counseling. It can only work if you actually want it to. If you are already at your wit's end and just don't have it in you to continue putting an effort to maybe not save your marriage, then there obviously isn't any point in pursuing couples counseling. If you still want the marriage to work out, then couples counseling would be a good idea as a last-ditch effort. Personally, I think that if you married someone you had a rocky relationship with all along in the hopes of having things magically change in the future, then you basically set yourself up for failure, and this is what you are experiencing more and more. You're only 26. You have your whole life ahead of you, and there are plenty of people in the world who won't give you the feeling that you are basically carrying the relationship alone. OOP, thanks for commenting. I'm not sure what I was expecting from counseling, but your comment has opened my eyes to how I should be approaching it. I'm going to take some time and really think about what is best for me and go from there. Thank you again. Update, 3 years later. Hi Reddit. I made a post 3 years ago about my husband not taking the initiative when it came to purchasing a new car after a big move. My post didn't get too big, but I've always liked seeing updates and a lot has changed in 3 years. So, I decided to log back in and make my own. I don't know how to link the original, but please take a look at the post history if you want to see my first post. After making the post, my husband had made an appointment to go look at cars. I remember feeling really good about everything in that moment. I felt a huge relief knowing that this big thing was finally getting taken care of. When his appointment came, my husband called to tell me some good news. He had seen one car, decided it was good, and told me that this is the one we would be buying. While he was still in the dealership, I asked him to tell me the details like how much the interest was and how much the car cost. I asked him if he had compared it to Kelley Blue Book to see if it was a fair deal. My husband was kind enough to ask the salesman everything, but after each question he would add, "I'm sorry my wife is making this so difficult." I was pretty hurt and embarrassed by this and told him so, but he said all my questions were frustrating and were slowing down the process of the one thing I had asked him to do. In the end, he decided to wait for me to arrive so that we could sign for the car together. I ended up getting picked up from the airport and taken straight to the car dealership. We got a good interest rate on the car, but we ended up overpaying by about $7,000. I should have said no to the car and just looked myself, but I was young and embarrassed and I felt like I wasn't being supportive. Thankfully, that car ended up being our only shared piece of property in our divorce. I didn't trust him to refinance the car, so I ended up taking it. We owed so much more money on the car than what it was worth that I couldn't get it refinanced for several months. I ended up trading it in, and even though I'm still in the hole financially because of it, I am so much happier now. We did try therapy before ultimately divorcing. My ex-husband was quite the prodigy. He was cured, his words, not mine, after a week. He said that he had it all figured out and didn't see the point in continuing. He also told me that he was the only one who had ever put any effort into the relationship and that it was 100% my fault that we were divorcing. He told me that no one would ever love him again if I left and that he might as well off himself because there's no point in going on. When that didn't work, he said that no one would ever love me again and that I was lucky that he has stayed around as long as he did. He then asked me if I would forge his signature on the divorce documents because I was basically forcing him to do it anyways. I did not. Anyway, I'm happy to report that he was successfully able to move on from the trauma I put him through. He's still around, but I've kept my distance because I can't be bothered, so I'm unsure of what he's up to. I was able to find someone after some time. My boyfriend is so kind. Sometimes I feel like it's too good to be true. Then again, I get Twitter-pated when he does simple things like taking out the trash, cooking, or maintaining a full-time job. So the bar is in hell. He's a great guy, and he does more than the bare minimum, I promise. Looking back, I knew that I wanted a divorce. I just wasn't ready to admit it. My ex-husband didn't love or respect me. I didn't put many details of the relationship in my first post, and I don't really feel the need to put it all out there now, but I know now that if someone truly loves you, they make sure you know. Thanks, Reddit. You were right. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, I didn't read the original post and feel like there's more to it. Usually when you delegate responsibilities, you have to let someone actually do the thing they're supposed to do. You can assist them with big mistakes, preferably by teaching them beforehand, but you can't become a micromanager or they'll never take the initiative in doing things themselves, never feel like they can make decisions on their own, and they'll never learn anything. Having only this post to go by, I feel like the car was the wrong first responsibility to delegate if OP wasn't willing to let him do it or willing to accept that he wouldn't do it as well as her. She ultimately wanted to be in charge and work out the details herself, and her husband being there was no different than her being there, which she eventually was. At the very least, they should have mutually agreed on a price they were willing to pay, what they needed in a car, and she should have left it at that. This was the wrong way to car shop for both of them. If there were more issues, then it sounds like divorce was right. It's just a very poor example for this singular post, since you can't ask a partner to make more decisions and take more initiative on their own and then micromanage them when they try. OP should have started with something that carried less financial risk, but if the marriage was a dud anyways, so it is what it is. OP, I didn't post many details on either post, so it's definitely a very small glimpse into our relationship. I'm not here to air out all of our dirty laundry, so I guess you'll just have to trust me when I say that this man did nothing. Ever. I don't even think I micromanaged him. He spent more time arguing with me that I was taking too long packing our apartment than looking for cars. I think his exact words were, "I could have done it in a weekend, and it's taken you a month. I just don't think you love me that much because you're not trying to be with me fast enough." Even with the little things, he did nothing. I delegated him to take out the trash once, and it sat by the front door for an entire week before I finally decided to take it out myself. Imagine my surprise when he said he was just about to do it. Yeah, right. But maybe I could have let him learn from his mistakes more? Teach him beforehand? Believe me, I cried, begged, bargained, and eventually just gave up on this man. My mistake was definitely thinking that he would suddenly care and change his behavior. I think, in the back of my mind, I just needed that one extra instance of him not caring about anything for us to finally leave the relationship. It was never actually about the car. Commenter 2, he wouldn't even sign the papers. He wanted you to do that, too? Girl, I'm so glad you got out. This stuff is hard to see when you're in it. OOP, I was appalled when he asked me to sign for him. Like, sweetie, no. You can sign your own damn divorce papers. Commenter 3, they may have been incompatible. It sounds like OP micromanaged him when he was supposed to be making decisions on his own. That doesn't work. If you micromanage someone, they will take less initiative, learn less, and make less decisions on their own. They should have discussed what car they wanted, agreed on a price, and agreed he'd shop within those boundaries. Telling him to do it and then micromanaging him when he tried isn't the way to do things. I don't blame her for wanting to prevent a bigger financial risk, but she was married to the guy. Surely she would have known he didn't know how to buy a car and that not discussing anything beforehand was the wrong move. Why not ask him to lead something with less financial risk, like painting a guest room or buying new kitchenware first? OOP, he had most definitely bought cars before meeting me, and since I was the one who organized all of our living arrangements, at the time I felt it was fair to assign him the car. But I do agree that a more mature conversation could have helped in general. Our relationship at that point lacked a lot of respect and had a lot of resentment built up, but I don't feel the need to dive into all that. And as far as skills go, I think the skills he lacked were basic life skills, but I digress. I hope he can find someone with more patience than me to teach him how to be a functional adult.